You're listening to the Slow Ride Podcast. Bikes, advice, and rumors straight from the source. TheSlowRidePodcast.com and on Twitter at SlowRidePod. Enjoy the ride.
Hello and welcome to the 238th episode of the Slow Ride Podcast. This is Tim in Orlando, Florida.
Hey, this is Matthew in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
And this is Spencer in Boston, Massachusetts. You guys, have you come down yet from your world tour interview high?
No.
Still floating.
For the first time in my life, I felt like people thought I was cool. Like, oh man, you got Mitch Docker on the podcast. That's awesome. So yeah, that felt really cool. Hey, Spencer.
Yeah.
Was it the highlight of your Slow Ride podcastum?
I would say, compared to the folks that I usually have to talk to on this podcast, yes, it was huge upgrade. Excellent, like really informative and engaging and just, all around fun.
Like a lot more fun than you're used to.
Oh man, so much more fun.
Yeah.
I honestly, I don't think I've had a better time on this podcast in 238 episodes. Yeah, that is by far and away the tip top most memorable thing. In fact, I don't even remember any of the other episodes if it comes down to it. Yeah.
Your way to make Abby Mickey feel awesome.
Ooh.
I have to admit, Abby Mickey had probably the greatest tweet of the post Mitch Docker come down from the Jersey draft when because we're going to have her on the air to do the Women's World Tour Jersey draft, which we're very excited about. And her tweet was along the lines of, the Jersey draft is probably when I'm the most nervous on the Slow Ride podcast, but after hearing their picks of the Pro Tour, of the Men's Pro Tour jerseys, no longer is she nervous at all.
Yeah.
About just running the table on us with the Women's World Tour jerseys.
Well,
yeah,
maybe she thinks. Who knows?
I think that's probably a fair assessment.
Yeah. So we're excited to have Abby on in a few weeks. And, little guy, Mitch Docker, did a fair job talking about, TJ Van Garderen's arm wrestling skills. Do you, after what you heard, do you think you can still take TJ Van Garderen?
Well, he is really skinny. I think I can get him still. I think he's probably doesn't pick up his kids, so he can keep those little scrawny climber arms, whereas I'm holding my one kid quite often. So I think I'm bulking up a little bit. It's like lifting weights.
Yeah.
It's progressive,
And we had a slew of other feedback that we've gotten from all types of listeners. The Slow Ride Podcast fan zone on Facebook, or the whatever Spencer called it.
It's the official fan experience zone.
The official fan experience zone. The best part about that was Jonathan Crane of Birmingham, Alabama, said we failed to get Mitch Docker to begin a response battle rap to Astana for how bad Astana's rap video was. Mm-hmm. And I thought that this was a good idea. And then they started writing some lyrics. And they totally put Taylor Finney at the front of that rap crew. And I kind of agree with that. So dropping some sick bars. So, that was cool. We also got a variety of emails, including Patrick from Melbourne, Australia, was telling us all about the Christmas Belgie. And he was happy that Mitch mentioned that he got dropped on it, as he did on several occasions. It must have been a sight for Master 5 blokes going past him on the grass alleyways that made him lose his will to pedal. Then again, everyone gets dropped on the Belgie. And, Patty, Masters 5 down there in Melbourne, big fan of Bike Shop CX as well. He wanted to make sure that we know that the invitation is open for us to go down to Melbourne to ride the the Belgian.
I'll just pop on down next week, maybe.
Now that sounds pretty good. That sounds much better than a bike tour across the U.S., in my opinion.
Well, we'll see. So lots of good stuff. And once again, we'd like to thank all of the listeners that came over from Mitch Docker's Life in the Peloton. Lachlan Morton episode, fantastic. He's going to have the cobbler, Adam Hansen coming up in a probably in the next week or so. Should be very soon. He was posting it on the Instagram. And again, if you want to listen to a really good podcast, even if you're not a big time cycling fan, which I don't know why you wouldn't be listening to, but you'd be listening to this podcast.
Yeah,
you want to listen to the episode with Michael Woods, hands down, one of the best.
He gets you,
little guy. A little bit later, we're going to get into some talk about World Tour racing, kind of the season starting up, and all different types of teammates out there. But first, I need to hijack this podcast. I never do it before. I never steer the ship on this thing.
Really? I need to hijack the podcast too, though. That's the problem. Do you want to?
Well, I'm just going to go first here because today was the 9th annual Doc Hollywood Invitational up in Micanopy, Florida. And as I've talked many times on this podcast, this is the ride that I started with Keith Richards, my old business partner at Swift Cycle, who I talked to today. He lives out in Portland now. And Micanopy, Florida is where they filmed Doc Hollywood, the Michael J. Fox film of lore. It's ripe for a remake.
It's probably his most popular film, I would think.
Yeah.
Yep.
We had a Porsche for the first 25 miles leading us out, a Porsche Boxster. It's pretty cool. Until we got to the first gravel section, and he did not take the Boxster onto the gravel section, rightfully so. It was a good ride. We had 62 turnout on beautiful Central Florida roads. But here's the thing. Got to the store, started raining. We were at the store for like 25 minutes. There's quite a few flats like there normally are on the way to the store. And so we waited. People were going in, getting their food and everything. Started raining. So as we're loading up, and we've been sitting there at the store for 25 minutes, what do you think someone yells out?
Well, they need a 5mm for sure.
Yeah. Someone yells out, I have a flat. Now, we were there for 25 minutes, and there's 62 people in that parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're getting dropped.
It's starting to rain. What would you guys do if you were me?
Drop them.
Exactly.
It's their fault. You got to check that stuff out when you get there, yeah.
Check your tires. It's not hard. So then I start riding away, but no one really followed me. So eventually he just
like the leader
hit it with some CO2. Then they caught up to me.
Tim, I got a quick question, quick interjection here. In the 8 previous episodes of the Doc Hollywood, has there ever been rain before?
Yes, once.
Okay. I wasn't sure if this was the first time you guys experienced wet gravel roads down there.
The first time it rained was conveniently the year I forgot my shoes, which all of my teammates and friends have let me know all about. That's why I got this picture sent to me. I posted it on my the Super Rookie Instagram page of someone sending me a photo that just said, "Don't forget your shoes."
Yeah.
So we're riding through the rain. We get through the last neutral gravel section. We cross the U.S. highway, and it's 2 gravel sections. They're both about 1.5 miles long each. Normally, in the 7 previous editions, 1 year I drove, I have never made it to the end of these 2 gravel sections with the group intact.
Okay.
Yep.
Today
right.
I did. I made it to the end. So good news, I made it further than I've ever made it before with the group. Bad news, I still had 20 miles to go when I got dropped. So it was cool. There was a time, so I actually get up to the front group. I'm in the front group, and I'm like, I got to get up to the front of this pack.
That's not true.
Okay.
That's your first mistake.
Yeah, why? Why didn't you just sit on the back? Yeah.
What do you think people say? What do you think people say when they see me kind of noodling my way up to the front of this pack?
Let's say, obviously, we're not going hard enough.
Yeah. They're like, man, this must be the slowest year yet. I got to check the Strava later.
No, that didn't come out. It was actually a decent, I actually had some fitness. What do you think they said?
Okay.
No, I'll tell you what they said.
I don't know.
Tim, what are you doing up here?
Yeah.
To which then I reply, I don't know. Is this what it's like being in the lead group? What am I supposed to do with my hands?
It's pretty good. You didn't just attack right as you heard that? That feels like it would motivate me to attack, even if it was completely
Promptly
useless.
after they said, Tim, what are you still doing here? Or whatever,
Yeah.
someone did attack off the front. I was able to maintain. Overall, the group was very well behaved. We didn't attack across busy highways, and everyone was safe. It was fun. I didn't have a flat tire. Finished pretty well. Ryan Woodall, former U.S. Cyclocross national champion, won his third year in a row.
And Tim's ultimate bike crush.
I know. Well, he's a great guy. And then Amy Talbot she's a marathon national champion in mountain biking, won the women's race probably for like the 6th time. So
nice.
Yeah, overall it was good.
Now,
people came from all over. Now, here's the thing. Friend of the podcast, Chuck, from Virginia, told me months ago he was bringing 8 people to the ride. They're staying in Orlando, out near Claremont, where all the hills are. They didn't come to the Dock Hollywood because it was raining a little bit.
Oh, man. They drove all that way.
They drove all this way to Florida and then didn't do the Dock Hollywood on the weekend that they were going to be here.
That's kind of weird.
I know. I forgive him if he comes back next year. So next year's year 10. I hope you both can come. Keith is going to be coming back from Portland. It's going to be the biggest the year, second Sunday in February. Everyone's invited to come, including you, Mitch Ducker. And I tell you what, Mitch, if you come, you can win your weight in...
What's Florida known for?
It's Florida. Yeah, what's Florida?
Juice.
Oranges.
No, that's not it.
Okay. Gators?
Gators? You're going to win his weight in gators, so he'll get like a third of a gator?
All right.
We'll come up with something.
You cut a gator into thirds and hand it to him?
I guess so. I mean, it could be, you could actually have a gator be the prize like Trobro Leone. If that makes sense.
It doesn't.
No? All right. Well. All right. So I'm done with me. Little guy, what's your segment that you wanted to talk about? Is it about Tinkoff trying to buy Team Sky?
What a bullet we all dodged in the cycling world with that. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know if there's any truth to these rumors because Tinkoff himself has denied it.
Well, usually where there's smoke, there's fire, right?
Yeah, where there's Tinkoff, there's stink. And it stinks all over this.
Can you imagine if he bought the team? That'd be great. Like, there'd be the rightful end of Team Sky.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose that's poetic. There's something there.
Can I tell you something?
Yes.
Tell me something, Tim.
I actually liked the old Team Tinkoff jerseys when Tyler Hamilton raced for him when they were the yellow.
Okay.
Do you remember those?
I do remember those.
Yellow and black, yeah. They kind of looked a little bit like the Symmetrics team from Canada. They're pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. Despite picking yellow Lotto in my jersey draft, I don't think a yellow jersey's ever been done well, with the exception of the first year, what is now Dimension Data, the MTN Quebeca yellow and black striped jersey.
Really?
Very good.
Well, I mean, I think maybe, the Tinkoff kit could be good with it being, no, yellow and black. Yeah, I guess you're right. Onse was okay, though.
Onse, I feel like, here's the thing. Now, hear me out.
Okay, I'll hear you out. Okay.
Yep.
Onse is a classic. It's a wonderful kit. It's something everybody loves as a cycling fan of any amount of time, right?
Uh-huh.
It's not a good kit.
It's a great kit.
We like it because of the nostalgia. We like it because of the powerhouse of the team. If that kit had never existed and got introduced today into the peloton, we would all just vomit all over ourselves instantly.
True. True.
Okay,
no,
we're going to talk.
Tim. He's right. He's totally right. It's terrible, and the bikes are terrible. Everything aesthetically was terrible about it.
No, so let me tell you the two things that are
let me tell you the only good thing
was
the doping program.
Little guy, you just can't jump in here thinking you know what was awesome about Team Onse. Let me tell you two things. One is they had the blind pictogram. And it really sealed the deal that it was the charity for the national charity for the blind in Spain. So it did good work. Much better work than almost any other professional team in the peloton. Second, Onse,
we don't know that.
The Onse shorts were fantastic, where they had like kind of the Scrabble tiles on the side where it said Onse. Looked really good. with the border. That's all I'm going to say. So yeah, yellow can work in the professional peloton as long as it's the Tinkoff Credit Systems kit
No,
or
it's a terrible kit.
the Onse kit.
Okay.
But
Now,
anyway.
The current Lotto kit is so much of a better yellow kit than either of those kits. You could add the power of both those kits together and it's still not nearly as good as the current Lotto kit. And I don't even care who you're looking at in that Lotto kit. Name the lowliest domestique on that team and they look better in that kit.
yeah, no, I agree. And I'll go one step further as to say they were kind of like notorious for being like style leaders because they got to switch their kit between the Giro and the Tour, and that just kind of gave them this extra panache, this extra pizzazz,
Tour
that nobody else could do, and only they could do it, and that's maybe what we all love about that team, and it's not actually the kit.
Okay, well, so
Yeah.
Let's get on Segway Street here and go right into the Wout van Aert kit reveal, which happened midweek. So Wout van Aert, 2 years in a row, Cyclocross World Champion, or 3?
3 years in a row. And this was something we feared when he did not win Belgian national championships this year.
Or the European championships.
We were worried that this
or the World
could
Championships.
happen. This could be... Yes. We had not seen this kit, as we theorized here on the Slow Ride.
Because he's a team of one.
A team of one that was created out of thin air before the World Cup in Waterloo because his team backing pulled out at the last minute. So we had never seen.
I don't think he saw his kit until his mom handed it to him from the ironing board.
I don't think he wants to see it again.
Obviously not, because he shut the cyclocross season down pretty quickly there.
This monstrosity. So it's an all-black kit with basically ironed-on logos, and I would be embarrassed riding that. Like, it didn't even look like an amateur. I was at least expecting an amateur team, like geometric shape, maybe a fires and like flames coming out of the sleeves, something like a semi-custom template that you can get from any of the major custom kit providers.
Yeah.
Instead, it was an all-black kit with logos just placed on in the middle.
And I mean...
It was bad.
Any amount of graphic design at all, like any amount, would have improved this kit. And you think to yourself, like maybe if you haven't seen it, you're thinking, how can an all-black kit be that bad? It's the best color to make a kit out of, especially for cyclocross. It's got world championship piping on it because that's the former world champion. And somehow, despite all that in their favor, they made a really bad kit.
That was bad. But it was done. He looked really depressed and sad when he was wearing that kit. Kind of felt bad for him a little bit.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, like Little Guy said, we will not have to see it again. He is moving on from that.
Into a nice yellow kit.
To a pretty decent yellow kit.
Yeah.
So... we did get a couple of emails following up on the Mitch Docker report of a mysterious race in Quebec, Canada, where you can win your weight in maple syrup. Little Guy, you called me very excited in the middle of the week talking about this race. So what do you got?
I don't remember why I was so excited. I mean, it looks cool. You win maple syrup. It's got some big hills. It's called the Appalachian Classic. It looks great. What I like... I don't know necessarily.
It's the Appalachian Classic in Quebec. Like, come on, you can't do a little bit of
No, well, I have to dig around on the website to find the French pronunciation because when you actually the website is actually just theappalachianclassic.com.
You gotta give it a little ooh la la, you know?
Yeah.
La Classique des Appalachiens.
Sounds perfect. Yeah, you nailed it.
So
it's only 4 categories, right? So there's a Pro Elite, an Open A, an Open B, and then the women.
So we'd be Open B.
I don't know. I don't know how it works.
Oh, I'm sandbagging to Open B because I'd like to think it's sandbagging, but really it's me in the appropriate category.
Yeah, probably. It's kind of a weird race. There's $12,000 total on offer in it, and then you win maple syrup as the winner. So, and it's some crazy amount of climbing that only 8,860 feet of climbing. So only Michael Woods would love that amount of climbing, I think.
Yeah.
Everybody else is a little fearful of that. That's pretty bonkers. So it looks beautiful. The pictures on the website, go check it out. I doubt we are going to be there and cresting that hill first in any of the categories, judging by our previous form. But Tim did make the front group, so maybe
guy,
open B. Maybe that's open B.
Little guy, I was zoned out there for a little bit. You said there were 4 categories. Was one of them a fat bike category or maybe a single speed category? Something I could get into?
I don't think this is that kind of race. Yeah, this isn't that kind of race.
Oh.
Sorry.
Now, I'm always intrigued by the races that are held in Quebec because they have like the World Tour races, and then they have Mount St. Anne, and then they always have all these random other like events, like a lot of money behind them. But then you're like, oh, but then you said, there's only 4 categories in this race. Is this a big race, or is it still kind of a, below the radar?
So it's pretty small number wise. 71 in the Pro Elites last year, 61 in A, 33 in B. So like we got a shouting chance, and 22 women. So it's not a huge race what's crazy is like that is like local MCF Minnesota like lowly road race numbers,
but with a $12,000 prize list.
But with a $12,000 prize purse and a very nice website, and lovely terrain. It looks like an awesome race, and it's kind of crazy how little attendance there is.
It sounds to me, now, if I'm doing my math right, that's probably about $200 per category payout, and then $10,000 of maple syrup.
Yeah, I think
retail
so. They've got
value.
it a little more broken down technically on the website, but you basically hit it.
Do they have
You basically
sponsors
hit it.
like Log Cabin and other?
Log Cabin? Tim, we're going to get angry emails from Canadians. I can't believe you would say that on the air.
Isn't
we talked
that
about
the type
that in
of
the
maple
green
syrup
room.
that they give away?
Oh my God, I'm really sorry, Canadians.
All right, hey,
Tim, I think you better get that formal apology to Michael Woods typed up and ready to go quick. So, because if any chance of ever getting him on the show, we're losing that quick with things like that.
Probably. So, well, that actually looks fun. Maybe we can do that race like that one of these years.
I'd love to. It looks awesome.
Now, as always, the day before the Doc Hollywood is the big Central Florida bike swap over at Orange Cycle here in Orlando. And
Sounds lame.
as many people know, I'm the world champion of bike swaps. I have a world champion Team Z jersey that I like to wear with my little hip bag, my fanny pack where I keep all my cash from making winnings. And a couple things came up. I did not have a table this year. I did not sell. I actually went to go spin my legs, have some coffee, showed up to the swap. The swap started at 9. I showed up at like 10. I wasn't really in the mood to buy anything.
The deals were gone. Deals were long
The
gone.
deals were gone.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, you get those last minute deals.
And as I'm walking around, I see the bargain box, a box that says all items $1 inside the box.
Okay.
I walk up to, tell me if I'm in the wrong here. I walk up to the lady that was working the booth, working the table.
Did you knock some things into the box?
No.
Okay, all right.
No. I didn't do anything wrong. So I look at the box and I see this really cool ride journal. I'm showing it to the guys here on the old Skype, and it basically just, write it down is what it says. And it says, what was the weather, the location, the distance and time, your biking companions, the trail and road conditions. So basically everything, like a ride journal.
Yeah, it's Strava before you had iPhones.
Yes. And it said $1.
Okay.
And I'm kind of looking around, and I look at some different things. I pull some things out, and she's like, oh, do you like any of it? And I'm like, and then I say, oh, what would you take for this? Like, because I'm not going to pay full price for anything at the swap.
$1 is too much.
She goes, so her response is 50 cents. Her response is 50 cents. So I say, I'll take it.
Uh-huh.
Then I pull out the only cash I had.
Yes.
When I pull it out, was a $5 bill.
You're a jerk.
So then she hands me the 50 cents and 4 singles, and I'm like, thanks. As I'm walking away, I see that the table is sponsoring like a junior cycling charity.
You're a monster, Tim.
Even better.
Monster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did I go and donate the extra 50 cents to the charity? No. I'll teach you. I'll donate my time and energy teaching those kids a clean set of wheels next time I see them out there. And then I'll write it down in my trusty biker's journal.
Destroyed some juniors on the ride today.
So, guys, I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
Is it wrong to talk someone down from something that's in the $1 box at a bike swap? Or is that like worthy of being the world champion?
I gotta say, much like Ghent Wevelgem 2003, when Mario Cipollini chucked his water bottle at the official, it's a pretty great story, but in the end, it's definitely the wrong thing to do.
So here's the thing, though. I did it the right way. I asked her the price first. Like, she could have just said $1 and I would have given $1, but she knocked it down right away to 50 cents. I mean,
I mean, the dollar bin, let's be frank, the dollar bin is the free bin. They're just like, we can't give it away.
yeah.
Yeah,
So-
all that's getting given away at the end of the day. So you're just paying $1 for the privilege of making sure you get it. You know, getting a head start on that.
So I was very excited about my purchase. The best 50 cents I ever spent at the swap. I still have the extra 2 quarters here for next year. I saw a random Moots fork sitting on a table. I was thinking about possibly getting that, but my guess is it's going to be there again next year. He wanted $150 for it. It wasn't going to. I offered him 25 and he didn't take it.
He didn't take
fact-
it.
Carbon fork?
Yeah.
No,
What
but I
kind of
offered
fork?
25. I was expecting him at least to come back and say like, 125, and then we would have a conversation because it wouldn't be bad
That's
to have
an
an extra
insult,
fork.
Tim.
What's that?
You got to start something realistic. That's just insulting.
Yeah,
I
so
don't think it's insulting
when-
when he took it off a bike. It's a branded Moots fork. And then he
No,
tells me,
but when
it was made in the
you-
Moots factory. That's what he told me. And then I was like,
What kind of
all right,
fork
I'll offer
was
you
it?
25 because they didn't make a carbon fork in the Moots factory.
So
All right, maybe.
your Nissan Versa, which we helped you sell for what, $1,900? $2,100. You know, that thing was made on the floor in the Nissan factory, and if somebody would have come up, answered your Craigslist ad, took time out of your day for you to, you know, polish it up and pull it out of the garage into the driveway for them to check it out, and they said, looks great. Would you take $200 for it? Would you be like, no, but how about 2,000? Or would you
Yeah.
just be like, get off my lawn?
Probably the latter, but I like to think the former.
Tim, did you see any copies? I know I made one request from you at this swap. Did you see any copies of the Hincapie autobiography?
I did not. I saw it's not about the cancer or it's not about the birth thing from Lance. Did you see I wish I saw that one. Little guy.
Oh, I went to a bike swap too. Yeah.
This was the legendary Minnesota bike swap at the National Sports Center campus. So, little guy, how was the bike swap? Was it full?
It was full. It was a little thinner on the ground than usual this year, but that was okay by me. I was trying to move stuff. I had a table with folks. I priced a lot of my usual garbage super low. Had a really strong $5 bin. I sold most of my stuff out of the $5 bin. I was really happy with some of that. I actually came out ahead too. Sold $55 worth of stuff and only spent $30. So
What'd you buy?
I think I'm officially an adult because I think the last 2 years I have made more money than I have spent, which you guys remember when we used to have tables
it was
together.
brutal.
I would usually make $7 or $8 and I'd spend $200 to $300. It was poor decision like central for me.
So what did you buy at the Bike Jumble?
I didn't buy. See, this was what was so good. I got some screaming deals. I got some Thai water bottle cages, which I'm always looking for. You guys know, $5 a pop. You can't beat that. I bought a weird aluminum rigid mountain bike fork for $5. Sweet. Don't know what I'm gonna do with that. I got
Sounds like a solid investment.
$5, man. What I'm thinking, it's $29er. I think it might go on my Schwamigan bike to stiffen up that front end and get a little more vertical compliance, you know?
Yeah, that sounds good.
I might not have gotten that flat if I have that stiffer fork on there. One of the coolest things I got was a Time advertisement poster from 1989 with the tour podium of Le Mans, Fignon, and Delgado on it, and then a little thing on the side that they all ride Time pedals.
Sounds
Pretty
good.
badass.
How much did you spend for that?
$1. Thank you very much.
Oh, good work.
But my favorite purchase, and this I was so happy about this. I walked over to a table because I saw a Ringley skewer, a blue Anno Ringley skewer, and I didn't want to ask about it right away because I didn't want to act too interested. I wanted to be able to lowball. So I asked about a pair of Suntour Cyclone Mark II derailleurs. So early 80s, mid-ish 80s Cyclone, some of the lightest stuff Suntour ever made. Ask about those just to be casual.
Yep.
Don't actually need them. Guy says they're $1 each.
Oh.
So my eyes sort of pop out of my head, you know, cartoon style.
and you're
I was like,
cool.
oh, I was like, well, yeah, well, $1, yeah, I might get those, you know. I guess I could use them. So then I turned my attention to said plastic bag with Ringley skewer in it.
Please tell me someone comes up and buys the
No.
Sun Ringley.
This is the best part. I can't see that there's a price tag on the bag because it's upside down. Ziploc bag has a blue anodized Ringley front skewer. It has 2 purple mountain bike bar ends.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
It has a weird water bottle cage that has a welded on attachment so you can mount it onto your handlebars in black. And it has
Basically,
a chromoly
it's
a
this guy's
chromoly
throwaway.
Rise mountain bike stem. It's a throwaway, but it's got the Ringley skewer in it, right?
So it's a throwaway Ziploc bag. The guy just wants to get rid of it.
Yeah,
I said
it's
$2.
It's $2. Yeah, I spent $4 at this
I'm that
table.
good. I'm the world champion. Yeah.
Dude, that Ringley skewer is worth much more than that. But the best part is that I didn't even go over the intention. Now I've got purple anodized bar ends, which are totally going on the mountain bike for that climb up Buck Hill. I'm going to be marginally faster up Buck Hill now because I'm going to be in those sweet little bar ends, man. I'm so.
Do you know who
pumped
this
about the bar
gentleman
ends.
was that sold you this?
No idea.
He
Never
could
seen
be
him
listening
before.
to the podcast right now, and now you're making fun of him. Because
Hey, he knew what he was doing. He wanted to get rid of that stuff in the same way that I had old square taper Durace cranks and a Paul front hub and various other random bits for $5 in the $5 bin. I wanted that stuff out of my life, and I wanted new junk in my life. And he had the same feeling, and that's cool. That's the best part of a swap is when at the end of the day you basically just traded things. A little money might have come in between, but basically
I want to wrap up this before we go to the preem lap. So it seems like you had a successful swap, but for me, you guys may remember I worked at that recumbent shop in Chicago.
Oh yeah,
for about 9 months.
I do.
Yeah, great. It was amazing.
It's right here.
So what was one of the things that I got from there before I got fired was a.
You mean got air quotes? Got?
No, I was told I could
learned.
take this. It was a Bobby Julich poster, full Cofidis kit, and the arrow bars. And it said Bobby Julich. I think it said Bobby Julich, Future of American Cycling, or something like that. I don't know. He said
What?
on the podium at tour. My buddies down at the bikery in St. Pete, I've told you guys all about. They had Bobby Julich down there for the Tampa Bay Bike Club. Brought Bobby Julich in for a night.
Huh.
They had Bobby Julich sign the poster.
Oh.
And he was blown away. He's like, oh my gosh, I don't remember ever seeing this poster.
Yeah, because he was
Kinda
so
thing.
hopped up on dope when the picture was taken that he doesn't remember it. He's like, I was on so much meth during that tour. Man,
I bet
'cause
you
couldn't use EPO.
Bobby Julich is probably the most forgotten of all American cyclists. He stood on the podium at the Tour de France, and we're like, who? We remember Bob Roll because he tells funny stories.
Yeah.
But Bobby Julich, he's actually good.
Well, Well,
All right.
Yeah, he had some moments, but you know what? Every moment, every result he has came under questionable circumstances.
Details.
all right.
I definitely challenge anyone to find a non-questionable Bobby Julich result.
This is Ryan. This is Ryan. This is Ryan Woodall, Florida's first cyclocross national champion. You're listening to the Slow Ride Podcast.
Oh, guys, we have reached the preem lap on the Slow Ride Podcast. And before we get into the details with Grimpeur Brothers, we want to thank all of the members and supporters of the Wide Angle Podium Network, including those that like to listen to Bike Shop CX. Banged out another episode last week. You can also listen to Gravel Lot, another weekly episodes. You had Bill Schleichen on Cyclocross Radio, who did a great recap of the World Championships with Zach Schuster of Cyclocross Magazine. I actually really enjoyed that. It was a good listen. And the best part is, if you want to listen to all of these shows, you can just download the Wide Angle Podium app, and it's all there. So the new episodes go to the top.
Yep.
We have a new Slow Ride Reviews coming up. And Spencer, do you have anything else to add on this?
Well, I was going to say, I just listened to the most recent Bike Shop CX. They do a whole episode, basically. They answer some listener questions and stuff, but they do a whole thing on the pit situation at Worlds with Lucinda Brand. And it's very good. Those guys are very amicable and friendly and like very positive all the time. But this was one topic where they just had to go hard on their opinions, and it's very good.
Yeah. That's a great listen. So I'd like to thank all those people that helped make the Wide Angle Podium Network happen. And go to wideanglepodium.com to find out more. And then that leads us into Grimpeur Brothers, who continue to partner with us with two fantastic coffee blends. That would be Hello Cyclocross Friends, a nice espresso blend. And then we have the full Schleck,
Yep.
I mean, I like to say the medium-bodied coffee.
It's like, pretty light. It's pretty light.
But it's definitely a light body. Like when you think about the full Schleck, Andy Schleck, who I think showed back up on Instagram for the first time in a long time. Andy Schleck, Frank Schleck, unzip the jerseys, get the full Schleck coffee.
Road season's coming around. It's time to start thinking warmer weather. It's time to start thinking, sun-baked mountain climbs. It's time to start thinking full Schleck. So, head over to wideanglepodium.com/coffee to direct yourself over to where you can get those both those blends and treat yourself every morning. Start that Zwift ride off right.
And that's wideanglepodium.com/coffee.
Yes.
All right. Well, with that, let's get back to the show.
I'm Joe Dombrowski from Cannondale Drop Pack, and you're listening to the Slow Ride Podcast.
So, little guy, when we were in the podcast green room, you confused me a little bit.
Did I?
Because you said, hey
Seems
guys,
usual.
I got a story of an MVP teammate. And I was like, oh, really cool. The MVP teammate. You must be talking about me and all the times that I helped you, win races on the track, do other cool things like that. And not Spencer, because when did he ever help you win a race? And then Spencer was not thinking what I was thinking. He was thinking something completely separate about MVP racing.
Yeah.
Yep.
No,
I forgot the D, and you guys got super confused. But yeah. What's Spencer?
I was definitely thinking, the perfect lead out man, like who was the MVP, who led out Dylan Groenewegen from Yellow Lotto to his massive victory today. Like, that kind of thing. Much like I led you out to huge victories on the track in the Cat 4 field. You
did that one time. I had that one night. I had that one race on that one night, and I'll agree. You gave me a bunch of good lead outs.
Yep.
That was my moment. I guess what I meant to type was MDVP MVPs.
Okay.
Corner.
I'm not any less confused.
So MVDP MVP Corner.
Yep. That's what we're going to call this. All right. So because I got this thought because Mitch Docker was telling us how he learned so much about cycling from us, and that's frightening, and how scared we were about that.
That was the quote.
Okay, quick caveat. When Mitch Docker said he learned a lot about cycling from us, very flattering, not surprising, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing that kind of got me, is that I learned a little bit from Mitch Docker.
Yeah. Definitely.
And it has to do with MVDP. I thought for sure that he was going to say that Peter Sagan knew who Matthew Vanderpool was when Peter Sagan said, "Who?" And Mitch Docker reinforced that Peter Sagan probably didn't know who he was, which basically was the plot of our entire novel that was the Slow Ride podcast, was that Peter Sagan knew who he was, and now Mitch Docker's in that corner. So anyways, now you know. It was a little shocking, but back to MVDP MVP Corner.
Well, since he was saying he learned so much from us, and we've established that Sagan doesn't know who Vanderpool is. Mm-hmm. Soon he's gonna know who Vanderpool is. And last year when Wout jumped in these World Tour races, we spent a lot of time wondering if he had teammates.
He didn't,
and he didn't really have teammates. And so I've been taking a peek at Vanderpool's team that he's got coming up with him into these races, and I think he might actually have teammates. So I think we could do a little MDVP MVP Teammate Corner segment here, so that Mitch and the other Pro Tour riders will get a little head start on knowing the other wheels, the other Corendon circus wheels to follow when these classics come, because you don't want to just focus all on Vanderpool. You want to know that there is some other danger in that group.
This is a fantastic
service.
Idea.
It's a service. So
let's role play something here, little guy. Sorry, you gotta be ready here. Like, I'm Mitch Docker, right? So and you're just random pro. You could be Daryl Impey. I don't really care who you are, right?
Okay. And
Spencer, you can be I don't know, someone important like Chris Froome. Here we are. We're at Tour of Flanders. Well, Froome's going to be there.
Hi, I'm Chris Froome. Blop, blop, blop. Somebody get me some tea from the Sky Car.
Perfect.
Okay, I'm going to be Mitch Docker, but without the accent. Man, my mustache looks amazing. Oh, wait. There goes MDVP's MVP teammate. I heard about this guy on the Slow Ride podcast.
Yeah, I should cover that move. Or, no, I know who that guy is.
Where's my bloody tea?
He's not that good.
No, but I listened to it on the Slow Ride podcast. These guys, I listen to all the time. You should totally check it out. Trust me on this. See?
I don't have time for this. Somebody get me my goddamn tea.
I mean...
Exactly.
So, little guy, I'm feeling you, but we really got to give some good information to Mitch Docker and the boys about who these guys are that are going to be racing with the greatest thing in cycling.
Who do we got? Who's a teammate? Give us MVP number one.
Okay. Well, obviously because Vanderpool, I'm going to go through one slightly, and I'll go in depth on one tonight. And then next week we can do another one, because I've got at least two that need highlighting. Obviously, his team had to pick up Stein de Volder, because when you take a cyclocross rider from the cyclocross ranks and you put them into World Tour racing, as Wout's team did last year, you bring in Stein. He's obviously the mentor.
Yeah.
We all know he's won Flanders, and he's 167 years old. So,
do you think they know who Stein de Volder is?
Who? The other riders in the World Tour?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
He was in the World Tour just a little bit ago.
I know, just check.
Okay, so you obviously got Stein. You got all these cyclocross guys that we know, but there's all these weird roadies on this team because they weren't like a road team before. So the guy I want to talk about tonight is Roy Johns. You guys know who Roy Johns is?
No idea. Never
Tim,
heard of him.
You know. I'd never heard of him either, but this last week at the Étoile de Bessèges race, he got an 8th place, a 7th place, and a 5th place, and he finished 6th in the points classification. So, like, legitimately was there in the front group all the time. And this dude, a couple years ago, 2014, finished 4th in Paris Tours. He's been 2nd at the Spark House Giro. Like, he's actually a pretty good rider. He's on Lanty for a few years. Like, he's actually gonna, I think, be a useful teammate, unlike the way we saw the Wout team last year.
Like, he's almost... So Mathieu van der Poel's actually got some quality teammates. Got Stein de Volder.
Yeah.
Now, we definitely know about Roy Jans here. Now, I'm a little worried, though.
Does it drop off after that?
He did have some DNFs.
No.
He had quite a few DNFs. He did Trobre Lyon. He DNF'd. So I'm a little worried.
Yeah, but look, I'm saying we got to go that he's got some past results. He's obviously able to get the top form, and so far this year, that team has only lined up for this one race, and 4 stages. He finished top 10 on 3 of the stages. That's good. He's not peaking yet, but the form is on the rise.
Okay. So
packs a decent sprint.
Yeah.
So that's what we need.
Little guy, tell me this. Now I know you're going to go through more of these teammates in the following episodes, but gleaning what you can from these 2 teammates that you've disclosed to us already, what is the strategy that this team is working with for MDVP, MVDP? Anyway, are they? It sounds like maybe they're going for some veteran savviness, but like still has some horsepower. Probably can't get to the final of the race with the front group. Can get Van der Poel there.
Obviously that's what you're going with De Volder, because he'll crash. We all know that's what he's done in the last 27 classics he's been in. We remember the Rabobank or the Radio Shack years.
Yes.
He'll be there. I mean, the thing about our buddy John's there is that decent sprinter. We know Van der Poel's gonna be a better sprinter. If he's there at the end to give a little lead out, that's gonna be interesting. Wout never had any help. So
are these guys? Are they there to show Van der Poel the ropes? Like, hey, this is how this race is going to go, or are they just there strictly as horsepower? What do you think? As you're the DS, how you run?
I think they're. No, there's horsepower. You don't have to show him the ropes. He obviously knows how to race. I think they watched Wout's team from last year, and they're like, let's hire a little bit of a better team, and if we got 1 or 2 guys ever around to do anything for him, bonus. Bonus.
I got to ask a question, little guy.
And
Spencer, you too. I got a new wager, like a new bet that maybe I'm actually really excited to find out.
Okay.
It's a World Tour race. Peter Sagan, Mathieu van der Poel lining up. It's Tour of Flanders, doing well. Juraj Sagan lines up as well. So Juraj is there. David van der Poel signs up, also there.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the better brother?
It's hard to know in a road race. I haven't really seen David van der Poel in a road race.
Tell me you wouldn't want to say. I'm hoping for some battles of the brothers. That's going to be amazing.
That would be best case scenario is we get a 1-2 Van der Poel Sagan. I don't care the order, and then we get like 15-16 between the brothers, or 16-17 ideally, so they're sprinting for 16. That's obviously our dream scenario, is that we get a sandwich between the placings that count.
Wow. A Sagan win and a Juraj 16th place is the pinnacle of sport.
Do you think they've ever done that? That would be pretty sweet if they had.
So
somebody will crunch the numbers on that. It won't be any of us.
Roy Jans is the guy to watch, along with Stein de Volder, for our World Tour listeners, when Mathieu van der Poel allows them to go up the road. If you see them up the road, you better start attacking, because they're going to be brought back. They're going to win. All right. Well, that was awesome. I love that segment. I'm actually looking forward to this year. Spencer, is there anything else you could think of here?
Not off the top of my head.
And with that, we'd like to thank you for listening to the Slow Ride podcast. I'd like to thank Grimpeur Brothers for their continued support. Go to wideanglepodium.com/coffee. And while you're there, check out the member page for the Wide Angle Podium Network. your source of independent cycling media. You can email us at theslowridepodcast@gmail.com. This is Tim, 50 cents richer in Orlando, Florida.
This is Matt. I came out ahead and in Minneapolis.
And this is Spencer in Boston, reminding you to always wave at all your fellow cyclists that you see out on the road.
The Slow Ride Podcast. Bikes, advice, and rumors straight from the source. TheSlowRidePodcast.com and on Twitter at TheSlowRidePod.